everybody, welcome back to another episode of Literacy Teachers, where we're all about helping you to inspire, motivate, and change how your students read and write for academic success. I'm Lee Hall, and in this video, we are going to be kicking off a series on disciplinary literacy. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you exactly about what that term means. So let's get into it. So disciplinary literacy comes from this idea that the ways that we read and write in the different subject areas are specialized and in some cases even unique to a particular discipline, all right? So let's think for a minute about history versus science, okay? So the way that historians go about gathering information to formulate a claim is very different than the kinds of evidence that a scientist would use, right? And the different approaches that a scientist would use to come to generate a particular claim about something, right? So the types of evidences are different. What counts as a good piece of evidence in history versus science will also be different, and how you write and communicate your findings or your understandings, right, to whoever your audience is not going to be the same, right? The kinds of language and structures you use in science they might be a little bit similar, but they're going to be very different from the ways that you write and communicate information in history. All right, so that's what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about these different approaches that different disciplines use to read, to understand, to analyze, and to communicate information, right? And each field is going to have its own way of doing things, all right? So in this series, while I will be sharing some different strategies, and some of these strategies may cut across or can be modified for different fields, right? Just know that each field has its own approach, right? Each academic subject matter goes about things its own way. It has its own kinds of evidence. It has its own way that it critiques and analyzes information, right? And like I said, each has its own way of what it means to write and communicate that information to a larger audience, okay? And so because of that, right, different strategies and different skills are going to be needed in these different disciplines. So really, right, the goal of disciplinary literacy, right, we're not saying that, for example, every kid's going to grow up to be a scientist or every kid's going to grow up to write novels, right? That's not the goal here, right? You're not trying to produce a novelist if you're an English teacher or produce a scientist if you're a science teacher, right? But it's just to help students understand the different ways that disciplines use reading and writing, right? So they get a taste of it. And they understand, right, how to better read those kinds of texts in their everyday lives, right, beyond school, right? When they're adults, they learn how to critique the information. It makes them better citizens. It makes them better informed, right? It makes them better able to engage with information and ideas in the real world, okay? So this means, like I said, that we're going to have to think about teaching reading, writing a little bit differently. And in this series, we're going to be diving into some of the common questions about what disciplinary literacy is, why it's important, and how to accomplish it. So stay tuned.